Northeastern Oklahoma hospitals are experiencing more COVID-19 hospitalizations than they did at the height of the pandemic. Hospitals in Arkansas are overwhelmed by rapidly rising case numbers. Pitt State President Steve Scott talks about his decision to step down from his position next year.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Hospitals in northeastern Oklahoma are dealing with a rise in COVID-19 cases, putting a strain on their system. This is KOAM News at 6. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky spoke with Oklahoma health officials to learn more.
We are seeing a resurgence of COVID cases. In fact, between Ottawa and Delaware counties over the last 2 weeks, there's been over 500 new cases.
Northeastern Oklahoma is seeing an increase of COVID-19 cases. Integris released a statement on their website saying both their Miami and Grove hospitals are seeing more inpatients now due to COVID-19 than at the height of the pandemic, citing low vaccination rates in Ottawa and Delaware counties. Currently, their Grove hospital is treating 12 COVID patients. In Miami, they're treating 7, which the hospital says are higher numbers for their smaller buildings. The state health department says as of July 14th, cases have been on the rise.
There were 118 new cases in Delaware County and 93 in Ottawa County. And then this current reporting period, there were 190 new cases in Ottawa County and 144 in Delaware County.
Citing low vaccination rates throughout the two counties for the uptick in cases.
Individuals with at least one dose of COVID vaccine for Delaware County was 38.2%. And those that were fully vaccinated was 29%. And for Ottawa County, those that have had at least one dose is 35%, and those that have been fully vaccinated again is around 29%.
Thompson adds that most hospitalizations are occurring in the unvaccinated.
Those that we are seeing that are being hospitalized and going into the ICU type of setting are those that are unvaccinated.
He explains that the vaccine is still the most effective way to combat COVID.
If you look in comparison to the 1.3 million people who've been vaccinated, and you have around 800 who have tested positive that have been vaccinated, that's even less than the 95% efficacy that the vaccines claim to have. That's a higher rate of success on the vaccine's part.
In northeastern Oklahoma, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
The Oklahoma State Department of Health says due to rising COVID-19 cases in the area, certain precautions like hand washing and practicing social distancing should still be taken to further prevent spreading the virus in addition to getting vaccinated. COVID cases are also rising rapidly in Arkansas. 12 out of every 100 people in the state have tested positive. As reporter Frederick Price shows us, some hospitals are overwhelmed by the spiking cases.
It's real and it's dangerous. And if you're going to take something seriously, this is the time to maybe be a little bit more open-minded about it.
It's a reminder that no one wants to hear.
It feels like we're already to the level of, how we were during the surge last year.
The battle against COVID-19 is far from over. Doctors at UAMS have now reported that the hospital is at capacity, largely because of the uptick in COVID-19 cases.
The hospital beds are full, and so it's hard to move patients out of the ICU, even if they're ready to go.
Dr. Ben Davis says normally patients in the hospital can be admitted and recover fairly quickly, but the Delta variant is proven to be aggressive against those who are not vaccinated, and that's what's causing a backup.
And so if your average patient is suddenly taking an extra week in the hospital because they have COVID or something like that, and there's suddenly a larger number of them, then the system can get overwhelmed.
That's something Dr. Jennifer Dillahay says could begin to happen at more healthcare facilities as hospitalizations go up.
Well, everyone should be concerned that it could happen to a hospital near them.
The threat now is more of these facilities are beginning to fill up again, and that concerns health officials like Dillahay because the focus could be turned away from other patients who need help.
Or a heart attack or a stroke or some other illness may not be able to get the timely care that they need.
Dr. Davis just wants those who are still hesitant on getting the vaccine to trust the medical professionals.
If you trust your doctors and you trust your healthcare system at all, the best thing you can do is get this shot and and take the other simple safety steps.
Just yesterday, Arkansas reported more than 2,500 new cases of COVID-19. Checking in with Nick Kelly for a first look at the weather.
Good evening, Dal. It hasn't been a bad day overall. Temperatures still below normal. Normally we should be around 90, 91 degrees. Mid-80s is the best we could do so far. Even though skies look quiet, a bit of a haze to the sky, actually due to a little bit of smoke from the wildfires out west trying to overspread parts of the region. But still, underneath, partly sunny skies. We're not seeing anything popping up across much of the central plains, really. Any good rain chances are staying well to the northeast and well to the south, with those areas seeing the better frontal systems being the better impetus for those rain chances. But around here, we're just sitting nice and quiet, mid-80s across the board. A little bump in the humidity makes it feel like the mid to upper 80s at worst. But we're still looking pretty good for the rest of the evening. We'll drop back to 79 by 8, 70 by midnight. I'm thinking mid-60s for overnight lows. We've got a few more warm days down before the summer heat kicks right back into gear. We'll break down the forecast here in a bit.
See you then. A full federal appeals court panel is rehearing a case over Missouri abortion restrictions. The U.S. 8th Circuit Court of Appeals last week decided to take up the case on its own motion. At issue is a 2019 state law to ban abortion as soon as 8 weeks into pregnancy and prohibit abortions based on a Down syndrome diagnosis. A 3-judge panel of the 8th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals last month upheld a lower court injunction prohibiting Missouri from enforcing the provisions. The latest ruling means all the 8th Circuit Federal Appeals Court judges will consider the case. Pittsburgh State University President Steve Scott yesterday announced he'll step down from his position in June of next year. Today, we talked with President Scott about the decision. He's worked at the school for 3 decades and has been president since 2009. Scott says the main reason he's stepping down is that he's 70 years old. He also felt it was time to move on after such a long career at the university.
So I've been a steward, and this isn't my job to keep forever. This is my job to take care of and be a good steward of this place until a point where I feel like it's time to take a step away and let somebody else take the helm. And I'm ready to do that and completely at peace.
Scott says he still plans to work in Southeast Kansas and is considering a nonprofit. Coming up, authorities in Joplin and in Kansas investigate bank robberies that might be connected. Plus, after a Confederate flag was put up near the Lake of the Ozarks, a nearby resident put up a billboard to counter it. We're going to hear from both sides of the issue. Authorities say a Joplin bank robbery might be linked to a bank robbery in Kansas. Take a look. Joplin police say the Great Southern Bank was robbed yesterday around 1 p.m. Now, in that robbery, witnesses say the robber displayed a weapon. He then fled with an undisclosed amount of cash. Earlier, around 10 a.m. yesterday morning, a bank was robbed in Lewisburg, Kansas, in Miami County, Kansas. The Miami County Sheriff's Office says no weapon was displayed in that robbery. The robbers in both cases, shown in surveillance video, look like they could be the same guy. The Joplin Police Department, the Miami County Sheriff's Office, and the FBI are investigating whether they are connected. A Webb City man pleads guilty in federal court to child sex crimes. 26-year-old Harley Schrader pled guilty to 2 counts of sexual exploitation of a child. Authorities say Schrader solicited explicit photos from 2 minors. Schrader is facing a mandatory minimum sentence of 15 years in federal prison and up to 30 years in prison. People traveling Highway 54 in Missouri, not far from the Lake of the Ozarks, may notice a tall Confederate flag flying in the wind. They also could see a billboard message created in response to that flag. First came this Confederate flag. Those responsible for the flag are members of the Sons of Confederate Veterans. It's a national organization that has members in Missouri. Then the billboard was put up in response. The billboard was put up in Tuscumbia, Missouri. Native Amanda Burrows put it up. She says she's not in favor of the flag near her home. Her billboard reads, "Equality bigger than hate." But the flag is getting some mixed reactions from people with differing views on just what it means.
My point here is not to to cause disagreements between individuals, but to let people know who are visiting the area that that flag isn't for all of us.
We actually have African American members. We feel like there's a lot of misunderstanding about why the Confederate people fought. And again, our mission is to do nothing more than honor our ancestors for fighting for what they believed in.
Burroughs has started a GoFundMe to help keep the billboard up long term. Daryl Maples says whoever put the billboard up has every right to do so. Later, going to stop by some area county fairs hosting several events, including a youth dog show.
But first, I'm tracking a few more warm days that we can enjoy before the summer heat ramps back up. Forecast up next. Normally for mid to late July, we should be baking in the summer heat, or at least have temperatures in the lower 90s, about 90, 91 degrees. But our July has been anything but normal due to a lot of rain and quite a bit of systems rolling through. We had to make do with highs for most days in the upper 80s. It's warm, but not overly hot and humid. Now it's the same case yesterday with highs in the mid 80s and highs today once again right around the mid 80s after a mild start in the 60s this morning. There is a change on the way, though. I'm tracking a few more warm days, very warm days with upper 80s for the next few days, even though there's just a slight chance we could see a stray thunderstorm or a very slight thunderstorm chance this Thursday and early next week. The big weather story down the road, the return of the summer heat. We're talking about 90s and quite a bit of those returning as we go into the extended stretch of the forecast. 7th range line, though, a haze to the sky, but we're looking quiet from the east side of the city. 83 in Joplin. Feels like 84, not much warmer thanks to dew points, at least staying in check right around 63 degrees. Most of us are either near 80, near Table Rock, to about the mid 80s in our western counties. Everybody else right around 83 degrees. But you factor in the dew points, again, dew points that are not running very high, mid 60s, so it might feel a little sticky outside, but we could certainly be a lot worse. So we're not dealing with dew points in the 70s, thankfully, but just enough humidity to make it feel like a degree or two warmer for the effect against your skin. But in general, we're looking okay for this evening. Any cloud cover we had to start the evening out will fade away after sunset. We'll drop back into the lower 70s by about 10 o'clock, and eventually most of us in the mid 60s to start your Wednesday morning out. In general, we're sitting quiet across the four-state region and much of the Central Plains. The bigger picture at the surface shows high pressure just north of us, strong enough to keep us quiet for tonight and for tomorrow as we get into the middle of the work week. Big frontal systems to the north and south. That's where the big rain chances are staying. And the reason why we're seeing a bit of a haze in the sky this evening, all the wildfires out across southwestern Canada and the northwestern U.S., the smoke is just tall enough to get caught in the jet stream, and some of that heading our way. That's the only big weather story in the short term, other than the upper low still trying to keep the summer heat off to the west, but that's going to start building back in pretty soon. Thankfully, it's not tonight and not tomorrow. We keep the summer heat to the west once again, which means temperatures tonight will drop back eventually into the mid 60s. Most of us right around 66. Mostly clear skies in the morning with a light east breeze at 5 to 10, but that breeze becomes a little more milder, pumping in some more warmer air. 83 by noon will push afternoon highs for most of us right around 88 degrees. Then the bigger picture. Thursday, a weak wave's going to try to ride along the returning jet stream. That could maybe bring a few isolated storms, but most of us will stay dry for Thursday. But look at the weekend. Even with a few weaknesses in the ridge, I could try to bring a few storms Sunday and Monday of next week. This is the returning ridge, and that is the return of the summer heat and humidity. We'll definitely feel it by early next week. 88 tomorrow, 89 Thursday, lower 90s Friday and Saturday. And even with the slightest of the rain chances now, that will not stop us from pushing mid 90s by early next week.
We knew it would be here eventually.
Yeah.
It is July after all.
Summer's not done yet.
Thanks, Nick. Still ahead, a Kansas City boy who started selling lemonade has gone way beyond the standard to create a full-fledged business. It's county fair time for several area counties, and each one has its own set of events lined up. In Cherokee County, Kansas, today they hosted a 4-H youth dog show. 9 kids presented 11 dogs to the judges and were graded based on the dog's appearance and how they handled agility and obedience tests. Organizers say the event helps kids learn to care for animals. The 110th annual Labette County Fair is also underway. Today's events featured several animal shows, including poultry, bucket calves, and beef. Later in the week, they're going to have more animal shows, a cornhole tournament, and a demolition derby, and the weather is cooperating.
Great to be out here again this year without having to worry about anything going on, and it's just nice to be out. The weather's great. Couldn't ask for any better weather for a fair, so usually it's about 100 degrees.
The Labette County Fair also runs through this coming Saturday. An 11-year-old Kansas City boy is taking the traditional lemonade stand to another level. Reporter Ray Daniel introduces us to the young entrepreneur.
You know the saying, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. But for 11-year-old Nelson McConnell, go ahead. This is not your regular sweet drink.
We love flavors, and we know people love the mixtures. So we decided to put my name on it so people know it belongs to Nelson, and we got the flavor.
Welcome to Nelson's Flavor Aids.
My mom was planning our flea market, and I wanted to be a part of it, and it was like hot, and it came to the idea to me of making lemonade.
Knowing how to mix the flavors, well, that runs in the family.
It's from my great grandma and my grandma and my mom, because they always, the lemonade, the Kool-Aid was always not, it was not regular, it was always something extra.
What was it?
Extra flavor, everything. We don't just do one flavor, we mix. So I'm like 4th generation mixologist.
So of course I had to try.
You gotta get the lady up front.
Oh my gosh. Y'all are gonna be jealous at the station. I'm okay. Yeah. Okay, Nelson.
Since 2018, Nelson's Flavor Aids have been quenching people's thirst, and now he's being recognized for it.
On behalf of the Heartland Black Chamber of Commerce, I would like to present the certificate of membership to you, Nelson McConnell, our youngest member. Congratulations.
He is serving the community in a phenomenal way because he is setting the tone for other small or younger entrepreneurs that look at him. He is breaking all those barriers and letting the community and the world know that no matter your age, no matter any of those barriers that are in front of you, that you can break through them and you can do what you want to do.
Well, the process wasn't always as sweet as a peach.
Well, I mean, doing a business ain't easy. There's going to be some hard times, there's going to be some easy times.
He's learned to keep going with his support system by his side. His message to other young entrepreneurs?
If you want to do something, put your mind to it and you can get it done.
Just 11 years old. I think that young man's going far. Nelson's goal is to have a Flavor Aids truck and storefront to provide more options for his customers. We'll be right back. Take time now to honor a local veteran. Jack League served in the U.S. Navy. The Joplin native was stationed in Korea and in Vietnam. And we salute Senior Chief Petty Officer Jack League, a four-state hero. Jordan Abbey joins us now with a look at what's coming up tonight on KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
Tonight at 9, going to hear from a local pediatrician about a new recommendation that teachers and students should mask up this fall regardless of vaccination status. Also, the Olympic Games organizing committee is not ruling out a last-minute cancellation because of growing COVID-19 cases. And reaction to the U.S.-Canada border reopening in just a few weeks. That, of course, much more coming your way tonight. KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
Jordan, thanks. Checking back with Nick. Not too bad out there at the moment. Things will be warming up in the coming days.
Yeah, so we better enjoy the next few days while we can stay warm and just below normal. 88 tomorrow, 89 Thursday, maybe a few random storms Thursday afternoon, but most of us will be dry. But once we hit the weekend now, summer ain't over. The heat and humidity ready to kick back in.
Of course it is. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you right back here for KOAM News at 10. Let's make it a great evening.